Hi everyone, and welcome to a review of the laws of exponents. In this video, we'll talk about the basic laws of exponents, but we will also talk about rational exponents and how to simplify expressions. So let's take a look at the laws. The first law is to multiply two powers of the same number, you add their exponents. When you divide two powers of the same number, you subtract the exponents. When you raise a power to a new power, you multiply the exponents. When you have a product raised to a power, each power is multiplied by the new power. And when you have a fraction raised to a power, each number it has an exponent that's multiplied by the new exponent. So let's take a look at an example where we're going to use all of these rules to help us simplify. In this example, we're asked to simplify x over y to the third power times y squared x over z to the fourth power. So step one, we're going to deal with these powers. The rule is that I'm going to multiply this power by every power for every base on the inside. So I have x cubed over y cubed there because those were both to the first power, and 1 times 3 is 3. And then I'm going to do 4 times 2, 4 times 1, and 4 times 1 here. So you get y to the 8th, x to the 4th, z to the 4th. The next step I'm going to do is I'm going to actually multiply these fractions together. So I did combine my two x's. So I got x to the 7th there, and then y to the 8th. And the denominators could not be combined, so I just left them as multiplied together. And then finally, I'm going to reduce the y's. So I just did y to the 8th over y to the 3rd will reduce to y to the 5th on top. The way I do that is I say, where is the greater exponent? In this case, it is in the numerator, so I wrote my y there. And then I do the exponents in the order of the bigger exponent minus the smaller exponent. It doesn't matter where they are, as long as it's bigger minus smaller, then that's the exponent that I would keep. Okay, let's take a look at some rational exponents next. So if I have a base raised to a fraction power, the denominator of the fraction is the index of the root, and then the numerator of it is the power on the whole thing. And you can write it in two different ways. Sometimes it's best to write it this way, where you do the root first and then the power. Other times it's better to do the power first and then the root. And it doesn't really matter which way you write it, but sometimes it makes it easier to simplify doing one way or the other. Let's take a look at an example where I have rational exponents. In this one, we just need to simplify, so we're not really changing to a root, but I'll show you one later where we will be. In this example, we're asked to simplify, and in this one, we just need to apply the laws of exponents. So notice I have a fraction raised to a power. So I'm going to multiply each exponent by this power. So I do for the 2. There's a 1 exponent times 3, and then I do 3/4 times 3, and 1/3 times 3. So that's what I'm simplifying first. So I found out that 2 to the 3rd is 8, 3/4 times 3 is 9/4, and 1/3 times 3 is 1. Now the other thing I did in this step is I took care of my negative exponent on my x. So the negative exponent just moves it to the top. And I always like to take care of those first, so that I get them out of the way and I don't have to worry about them. The next step I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply my two fractions together. So what I did is I actually just wrote it without the parentheses, and I got common denominators so you could see what was happening. 1/2 is 2/4. So when I multiply that, I'm going to do 9/4 plus 2/4 is 11/4. Okay, so I've changed it to 11/4. Now finally, I'm going to reduce the y's. Now there are more y's on top, it's y to the 4th. So I just have to do 4 minus 1 with my exponents and keep the y in the numerator. So my final answer is 8x to the 11/4 y cubed. Now I have one more example. In this one we have a radical symbol in there raised to a different index than we're used to. So I'm asked to simplify the 4th root of x to the 8th, y to the 3rd. The way I like to do this is I like to change my radical into a power. So I'm going to make it a 1/4 power on this group of x to the 8th times y to the 3rd. So I kept these in parentheses because they were both in the root, and then I did 1/4 power here. Now I can just use my laws of exponents to distribute the 1/4 power in to each exponent. So 1/4 times 8 is 2, so I have x to the second, and 1/4 times 3 is 3/4, so I have y to the 3/4. So that's it for this video. Let me know if you have any questions.